So now we're going to add a dresser. We'll add a dresser on this side of the room. Now if you think about a typical dresser is usually about maybe a little shorter than a person to a little taller than a person, but about the height of a person. And a person is usually 5 to 6 feet tall. A ceiling is usually 8 feet tall. So it's a little bit more than halfway up to the ceiling. So I'm going to say that the top of this dresser is going to be right here. And the way I'm going to have it oriented, I'm going to have it along this wall facing outwards. So this is going to represent the top. Now the distance it should come out should be, a couple of feet. Probably about half the width of what the bed was. So I think it should come out to about here. So I'm going to start it with this line. And from this line, I'm going to make a parallel line up here. Remember, these lines must be light because you will probably be erasing almost all of them. Then we make this line connecting the two lines that we started with. And the weirdness about this sort of thing is that even though you think of a dresser as being a fairly large thing, it's going to look very narrow. The reason for that, you say, well, look at the bed. The bed only comes about halfway across the room, and that's a bed. A dresser is going to be less than a bed, so it's only going to come out, maybe this far. Substantially less than what the bed does. The bed comes out to here, so the dresser is only going to come out to here. Key thing, when we make this line here, keep it parallel to the bottom, parallel to this line as well, but on top of that, make it longer than it needs to be and very light. Longer than it needs to be and very light. The reason for that is that once you've got this line, you can create a perspective line. So, if I have your attention, we're going to line up to the vanishing point. We're going to line up to this corner, and we're going to make this line to create this corner. Once we've got that, we can erase the excess, and we've got the bottom of the dresser. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? Okay. Next, we're going to make this edge of the dresser. The truth is, it doesn't matter too much what order you do these things in. This line will be a vertical line, and again, make it longer than it needs to be. You can always erase something. Okay. So the back of the dresser is going to attach to this line, but this is going to be a perspective line. So again, we use the vanishing point or focal point. We attach here. Once we've got that connected, we can erase the excess. Next up, we're going to make a vertical line from this point right here. This is another line that can be made long and altered, but the truth is it needs to be exactly the same height as this line. So you might as well just make it up to the same height as this line. And the reason it needs to be the same height is because you're going to attach a cross between the two. So make that line. Get rid of the excess, and we're almost done with this rectangular prism that's going to become a dresser. Last, we're going to come from this dot. We're going to attach right from here to here. And we've got our rectangular prism. Once we have the rectangular prism, that's when it's time to erase the unnecessary lines. So we'll get rid of this line, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this little one. And we got a one-point perspective dresser. Simple for drawers. Drawers are really easy. The thing with the drawers is that they're all parallel to the top and the bottom. But the way we show these parallel lines is a little bit, it takes a little bit of awareness to do. You just got to line them up to the vanishing point. And so each one will be at a slightly greater slant than the one before it. So I think what we're going to have here is 4 drawers, and then we'll put this thing on a set of nice legs. And as before, the legs, the details like that, those are more your artistic qualities, and you know, I'm not a master of those things at all, but I like to do little things like create embellishments. So like, maybe like this. Give it a little bit of a rounded bottom right there. The same thing here. And maybe this line kind of disappears. Maybe it's not so sharp in this spot. Maybe it looks rounded instead. These are sorts of things you can do. You give it a little contour, a little bit of character. A little bit of contour, a little bit of character right here. It's not exactly the same everywhere. And of course, one thing to recognize is that if we're looking through these legs, you can see that the line of the wall reappears. It becomes visible again. You just get that? Something you can add in. Okay, and then you know, you can give it knobs, you can give it handles, whatever you think is appropriate. I'm going to give it handles, real modern flat handles. The deal with these is that they have to line up to the vanishing point. So they are again not flat, but they come out to the side. Getting our little dresser. Okay. One more thing we'll add a window. We'll add a window sitting over the bed. And windows are not very hard. They're kind of a classic thing. A window is basically the same skill as a poster, same skill as a whiteboard. Basically anything flat along the wall. If it's a rectangle, they're all the same skill. They're not that hard. Key thing to think about is that most windows start about this high. And if you look at this level, where it is in a typical room, it's about halfway up. So if we're going to do the window here, we should do something about halfway up. So the spot representing about halfway is here. I'm going to start it with just a point, not a line, just a point. I'm going to get the width of my window by going to the vanishing point and making a little line. So that represents the bottom of my window. Now if I want to do the top of the window, I can make another line above it. But to represent parallel lines, in this plane, everything has to be attached to the vanishing point. So I make my other line like that. And as you can tell, they're facing different directions, but they represent parallel lines. And the height, you just attach the two. And wherever you have excess space, excess line, that's where you erase. So this can be our window. Right now it's just a, well, it looks like a trapezoid. It represents a rectangle. A lot of windows have little things like this. You can give it a nice little cross piece. Remember, the center cross piece should also be aligned to the vanishing point. So there we go. We've got a window. You can give it a little frame around the window. You can see the frame. Basically the same concept over and over again. Anything on the side walls, floor, and ceiling is is going to be made by using the vanishing point. And there we have a window. Okay. That should be enough for now. These are some of the more essential things that you'll need to be able to draw. Practice with these skills, especially drawing prisms and rectangles, and almost anything can be made. Thank you.